I press my palm to the headstone because everyone else has, and I need to know if they're lying, or if I'm the one built wrong. The granite is cold. Mid-October in southern Missouri means frost that clings in the shadows long after the sun is up, and Pine Ridge Cemetery has plenty of shadows. Old oaks, a sloping hill, crooked markers sinking into soft ground. The stone I'm touching doesn't sink or lean. It looks new, polished black, clean edges, no name, no dates. Just one word carved across the top: beloved. I count to 10 like a child bargaining with a dare. Nothing blooms behind my eyes. No warmth, no whisper, no rush of borrowed memory. My fingers ache from the pressure I'm using, as if wanting something hard enough could force it to happen. I came because 3 people in 4 days told me this stone shows you the dead, not metaphorically, full sensory replay of someone's final moments. The smell of jasmine, the soft clap of a screen door, a woman in a blue cardigan putting away dishes. Mrs. Garrett, who served coffee at the Main Street diner since before I had adult teeth, cried at my booth when she told me. "I knew her, Hannah," she said, voice shaking. "I knew her, and I've never met her in my life." Now I pull my hand back and flex my palm. The cold lingers like a residue. I walk the perimeter, checking what my reporter brain always checks first: sightlines, traffic, opportunity. The cemetery borders a residential street on one side and woods on the other. The nearest occupied grave in this older section is dated 1987. Still, people keep coming. Slow steps, a pause, a touch, then that peculiar stillness, like they're listening to something I can't hear. They leave looking hollowed out or soothed, sometimes both at once. The grass around the stone is flattened by feet. No flowers, no coins, no offerings. Someone keeps the edges crisp and the earth level, but there's no name to maintain it for. I take photos from every angle and run my fingertips across the letters. The carving is professional, paid for precision. When the sun breaks through branches, the stone's surface warms slightly, as if it's pretending to be alive. I call the cemetery office. Donna answers with the practiced cheer of someone who has repeated the same greeting for years. "Pine Ridge?" "Donna, this is Hannah at the Ashford Register. I'm looking into a black granite stone in Section C. No name, just beloved. Do you have records?" A pause, keys clicking. Then careful. "We don't have a record of that plot being sold." "It's definitely there. Looks recent." More clicking. "Nothing in the system. That's odd. We're meticulous. Want me to send someone out?" "Not yet. I'll bring photos later. Thanks." I hang up and crouch at the base. The grass is healthy, almost too healthy, and when I press the soil, it gives slightly, like it hasn't fully settled. I bag a pinch of grass because I don't know what else to do with the feeling that something is off. Evidence calms me, even when I don't know what it will prove. A car pulls up along the street. A woman in her 50s steps out with a small purse and purposeful posture. She walks straight to the stone, glances once over her shoulder, then places both hands on the top surface. Her eyes close, her shoulders tense as if bracing against wind. She stays like that for maybe 90 seconds. Then she gasps, soft, involuntary, and staggers back. Her hand flies to her mouth. She hurries to her car and nearly trips over a root on the way, as if her body is still half somewhere else. When she's gone, I try again. 2 hands. 1. Fingertips. Eyes closed. Breath steady. Mind blank. Mind focused on the word beloved. Nothing. Tuesday, I sit at the Ashford Public Library scrolling microfiche and digital archives for obituaries. Blue cardigan, jasmine, screen door. I search recent months, then years, then 5 years back. I find deaths that match the age range but no connective tissue, no story that clicks into place, no local legend with that smell or that cardigan. The details feel too specific to be a rumor and too consistent to be random. At 4:30, Pastor Dale Cole sits across from me in the reading area, like he belongs there. He has thinning gray hair, wire-rimmed glasses, and that calm firmness people trust with their worst days. "Hannah Price," he says, "I heard you were asking about the stone." I close the viewer. "I'm asking about an unauthorized grave marker that apparently gives people visions." He folds his hands. "People are upset you're treating it like a hoax. I haven't written anything, but you're investigating it like one." He cleans his glasses on his shirt hem, buying time. Grief makes people vulnerable. When someone tells you they felt something, it's real to them. Dismissing it does harm. I'm not dismissing it. I'm trying to find the mechanism. If it's manufactured, that matters. He holds my gaze a beat too long. "Have you met Madeline Frost?" The name lands with the weight of a lead. "No." "She runs a grief support group at the community center. A lot of the stone visitors go. She moved here 8 months ago. Kansas City, I think. She's very good with people." He stands, straightens his jacket. "Be careful. Truth matters, but so does compassion." Thursday night, I sit in the back row of the community center's multi-purpose room, notebook half hidden on my lap. 9 people in a circle of folding chairs. Some I know: Mrs. Garrett, Tom Phelps, who lost his wife last spring, Rachel, younger, hollow-eyed, whose brother died in a car accident 2 years ago. Madeline Frost is late 40s, dark hair pulled back, wearing a simple gray dress and a silver pendant that catches the fluorescent light. Her voice is low, steady, practiced without sounding rehearsed. She makes silence feel safe instead of awkward, which is a rare talent. People cry. People laugh. Nobody gets rushed. Halfway through, Mrs. Garrett brings up the stone. "I went again yesterday," she says, "to see if it would happen twice." Madeline's expression warms. "And did it?" Mrs. Garrett nods. "Same woman, same kitchen, but this time I noticed she was humming. I couldn't place the tune, but I heard it clear." Madeline smiles as if that's a victory. "That's beautiful. It sounds like you're building a relationship with that memory." "It's not my memory," Mrs. Garrett whispers. "That's what scares me." Madeline doesn't flinch. "Sometimes empathy feels like possession," she says gently. "A focal point can open a door. The stone might just be where your mind lets itself listen." After the session, when chairs scrape and people drift away with red eyes and lighter shoulders, I approach her while she stacks folding chairs like a person who never drops her mask. "Miss Frost, Hannah Price, Ashford Register." Her smile stays in place, but her eyes sharpen. "You're the journalist asking about the stone." "People are talking. People always talk," she says. "It's one of the ways we survive." She sets a chair down. "What do you want to know?" "How many people in your group have touched it?" "Most, I imagine. I don't discourage it." "Because you think it helps?" "I think anything that makes someone feel connected to something larger than their pain has value. Prayer, meditation, a piece of granite in a cemetery." "And the similar visions? Blue cardigan, jasmine, screen door?" "I find it fascinating," Madeline says. "Shared symbols create shared experiences. If you tell 10 people a place is sacred, they approach it with expectation. That expectation shapes what they feel. That doesn't make the feeling less real." I watch her like she's a locked door and I'm searching for the hinge. "So you think it's psychological?" "I think the line between psychological and spiritual is thinner than we like to admit." She picks up a bag and produces a plain white card with her name and number. "Have you touched the stone yourself?" "Yes." "And?" "Nothing." Her head tilts. "Maybe you weren't open, or maybe you aren't who it's meant for." Then she's gone, leaving me with the card and the uneasy sense that she just described me as irrelevant. Friday, I run backgrounds the way I run everything when my gut won't settle. Madeline Frost moved to Ashford from Kansas City in February. Before that, Topeka. Before that, Lincoln. Same pattern in each place. Grief group, community trust, 6 to 12 months, then a clean exit. No criminal record, no obvious financial scandals, no trail a lazy skeptic could point to and say, "See?" I call a reporter friend in Topeka. 2 hours later, she calls back. "There was a complaint," she says. "A woman claimed Madeline convinced her to buy a burial plot for a stillborn child who never existed. Madeline didn't ask for money, just planted the idea that it would close the circle. By the time the woman realized what happened, Madeline had left. The cemetery refunded the plot. Legally murky." I hang up and drive back to Pine Ridge, with the kind of focus that makes the world look sharpened. The stone gleams between the trees like it's trying to be noticed. I walk past it and look up instead. On the third oak, about 7 feet high, a small weather-resistant speaker is zip-tied to a branch. My pulse lifts like it's been waiting for this. I photograph it, then pull it down. The battery is live. When I turn it on, I hear a faint hum, almost below hearing, and then a loop of ambient sound. Wind chimes, distant birds, the slow creak of a door. Under that, domestic fragments, dishes clinking, fabric shifting, footsteps on an old floor. It's subtle enough to miss, but once you know it's there, your brain can't stop assembling it into a scene. I find 2 more speakers positioned to shape a small soundscape around the stone. Layered beneath everything is a low-frequency tone that doesn't announce itself as sound so much as sensation, unease, attention, heightened suggestibility. Not magic, not ghosts, design. I call Donna again. I found something. Speakers in the trees around the unauthorized stone. Silence, then disbelief. Speakers? Yes, playing a loop. Someone's manufacturing the experiences. "I'll send maintenance immediately," she says, voice tight. "Do you need a report filed?" "Not yet," I say, because I want one more piece to click into place before anyone starts cleaning up the scene. Saturday, I pull property records for the land bordering the cemetery's northeast corner. 3 months ago, a shell company purchased a sliver of adjacent property, registered in Delaware, contact address a P.O. box in Ashford. I cross-reference and feel my stomach drop when the P.O. box lines up with Madeline Frost's paperwork trail. I write the article like I'm walking a wire. I document the unauthorized stone, the cemetery's lack of records, the speakers, the low-frequency tone, the pattern of Madeline moving town to town, and the Topeka complaint. I don't use the word fraud in the lead. I let the facts do the accusing. It runs Sunday. By Sunday night, my phone won't stop. Half the messages thank me, the other half call me cruel. Mrs. Garrett leaves a voicemail that sounds like a prayer turned into a curse. Tom Felch emails that I stole the only comfort he's had since his wife died. Pastor Cole doesn't call, but another reporter quotes him. "Truth matters, but so does compassion. I'm not sure this was the right way." Madeline doesn't respond at all. Monday morning, the grief group is canceled. By Monday afternoon, her apartment is empty. She disappears the way she arrived, quietly, leaving a neat outline where people used to feel held. Tuesday, I visit the cemetery one more time. The stone is still there, immaculate and anonymous. The speakers are gone. The grass is already springing back, as if the ground is relieved to be unobserved. A few people still come, but they don't touch it anymore. They stand at a distance and look, like touching would make them complicit in their own hunger. I put my hands in my pockets and breathe air that smells like rain and decomposing leaves. I think about Madeline's smile when I asked if it was psychological, about the careful way she never claimed the stone was supernatural, only that it was useful. Maybe the trick wasn't the equipment or the rumor. Maybe it was understanding that belief is a tool people will grab with bleeding hands if you set it within reach. Before I leave, I touch the stone again. It's cold. The wind rattles branches overhead. I hear distant traffic, a dog barking, a lawnmower whining somewhere down the hill. Nothing else comes. That night, I dream about the woman in the blue cardigan anyway, standing in a kitchen I've never seen, humming a tune I can't place, stacking patterned plates I can't quite bring into focus. When I wake, I stare at my ceiling and try to decide whether that counts as a vision or simply my brain doing what brains do, building a story from scraps until the shape feels like meaning. I don't go back after that. The stone stays, as far as I know, and people still visit sometimes, though less often now. The register gets attention for my piece, and I get emails from strangers in other towns describing other cemeteries, other nameless stones, other focal points that gave them one last moment with someone they couldn't save. I don't follow up. I tell myself it's because the story is finished, but the truth is uglier. I'm not sure what I proved. Yes, Madeline manufactured the conditions: sound, suggestion, ritual, community reinforcement. She offered closure like a product and took her cut in trust, in influence, in whatever she came for. That's manipulation. That's a con dressed up as care. And still, when I close my eyes, I can hear the humming. I can see the blue cardigan. I can almost smell jasmine. Maybe Mrs. Garrett got exactly what she needed, even if it wasn't real. Maybe that's mercy. Maybe that's the worst part. I drive Route 1A to Severnwood Cemetery 5 mornings a week, 43 minutes from Dover to the Iron Gates. I time my coffee so the last swallow goes cold as I pull into the gravel lot. Severnwood sits on 8 acres of salt-worn granite and clay, wrapped in scrub pine and fog that rolls in off the Piscataqua and doesn't burn off until noon. I've been groundskeeper 6 years. I know every sinkhole and root-cracked path. I know where the frost tilts the stones by March. It's October. The maples along the fence have gone orange. The grass slows, and I spend more time on stone repair than mowing. I'm 31. I live alone in a rented duplex. My ex-wife took the dog. I eat standing at the counter and fall asleep to Red Sox postgame. The dead don't complain, and the living don't stay long. I reset urns, rake gravel, and lock the gates at dusk. The lanterns started 3 weeks ago. Paper lanterns, wedding type, white or pale yellow, lined along the north path that runs from the main gate to the old 1800s stones. The first morning there were about a dozen, each weighted with a smooth beach stone inside. No candles, no LEDs, just folded paper and stone. I figured some family ritual, collected them, stacked them in the maintenance shed, and made a note for the office. By Friday there were more, 20 plus, spaced every 10 feet. I called the director, Sharon. She told me to photograph them and throw them out if they broke policy. They didn't. No damage, no trash, just paper and stone. I took pictures, then hauled them to the dumpster. Monday, they were back. That day, someone hosted a grainy night video on the local Reddit, the lanterns glowing faintly in the fog. No visible flames, just a cold, even light, like bioluminescence. Comments argued, art project, prank, ghosts. I watched it twice and felt my stomach clench. The light didn't look like LEDs. I started checking my dash cam. I'd installed it after someone stole my toolbox. I park facing the gate every night, so the camera sees the main path. I pulled the card and scrubbed through on my laptop. Most nights, fog, branches, the occasional fox. On October 9th at 11:47 p.m., 2 figures appeared. They moved side by side, each with a canvas bag. The woman was small, white-haired, in a long coat that dragged through the wet grass. The man was taller and stooped, dragging one leg. Every 10 feet they stopped, knelt, and placed a lantern. She adjusted each one carefully with both hands. He added a stone from the bag. They didn't speak. Even through the fog, I could see how deliberate they were, how her fingers lingered on the paper. They worked 40 minutes, then walked back toward the gate and out of frame. I watched the footage 3 times. Their faces were deeply lined, eyes shadowed. They looked 70, maybe older. They looked like they'd done this many times before. I didn't recognize them. I brought the footage to Sharon. She watched, arms crossed, then sighed. "Do you know them?" No, but I can ask around. They're not damaging anything. The gates are locked at dusk. Then they're climbing the fence. The fence is 4 feet of ornate iron, easy enough to step over if you're determined. What do you want me to do? I asked. Keep documenting. If it escalates, we call the police. For now, just watch. That night, I stayed late. Parked facing the gate, killed the engine, and waited with coffee and a blanket. Fog thickened until headstones 20 feet away disappeared. I turned off the dome light and watched. They arrived at 11:52. Same couple, same bags, same slowed ritual. The crunch of gravel under their shoes sounded louder than it should have. I got out. The latch sounded like a gunshot. They froze. The woman's head snapped toward me. Up close, their faces looked carved from paper, wrinkled, slack with exhaustion, eyes reflecting light like animals. This cemetery's closed, I said. You're not supposed to be here after dark. We're not hurting anyone, she whispered. You're trespassing. Gates lock at dusk. We'll be done soon, sharper with something like anger. Ma'am, we'll be done soon, she repeated. She turned back to the lantern. The man looked at me, eyes sunken. Please, just let us finish. I should have called the police. Instead, I watched them place the last 6 lanterns, then limp back toward the fence. They climbed it awkwardly. The man nearly fell. The woman steadied him. Then they vanished into the fog. I collected the lanterns, all 32. Inside each was a beach stone and a folded slip of paper. David Green, still here, still waiting. David, we see you. Come home. You're not gone. We know. Every one had the same name. The handwriting shook and wavered. I stood in the fog with slips of paper in my hand and felt something settle cold in my chest. The next morning, I Googled David Green, Portsmouth, New Hampshire. I found 3 things. A 1995 yearbook photo of a thin-faced kid with a crooked smile. A 2003 mugshot, same face, harder. And a 2007 obituary. David Michael Green, 29, of Portsmouth, died suddenly on March 14, 2007. Survived by parents Mabel and Roy Green. Services private. No cause, no details. Their son, I told Sharon on the phone. The couple, the lanterns are for their son. Who? David Green, died 2007. Is he buried here? I checked the registry. No David Green, no green plots. No, I said. Then why the cemetery? I don't know. Sharon said she'd ask Pastor Dana Hughes at First Parish. I tried to work and couldn't stop thinking about the slips. Still here, still waiting. The next foggy night, the couple didn't come, nor the next. On the 3rd, Pastor Hughes called. I spoke with Mabel and Roy Green, Dana said. Their son David was incarcerated in 2006, transferred to a federal facility in Pennsylvania in 2007. They were told he died in custody, but they never received a body, no death certificate, just a letter saying he'd been cremated per policy. So they think he's alive, I said. They're convinced the paperwork was wrong. They believe if they keep vigil, he'll find his way back. They've been doing this for 2 months, every foggy night. In the cemetery, I said. He used to play there as a boy. They're not trying to cause trouble. Mabel has early dementia. Roy's had strokes. They're fragile. I don't think they'll stop. The next foggy night, I watched from the truck and didn't interfere. They climbed the fence, placed their lanterns with the same reverent care, lips moving in silent words. When they finished, I got out. Why here? I asked. He's not buried here. The woman's eyes filled. He used to play here. We lived 3 blocks away. He loved the old stones. He'd make up stories about the names. He came here when he was upset, even when he was older, after the trouble. He said it made him feel safe. We just want him to know we're still here, that we're still looking, she said. I nodded and let them go. After that, I still collected the lanterns but stopped throwing them away. I stacked them in the shed. Sharon stopped asking. Reddit posts continued. Someone coined #SevernWoodVigil. The local paper ran a ghost story feature but didn't name them. The town council argued about cemetery conduct, cameras, fences, patrols. Some called the lanterns a hazard, others said they were beautiful. Dana asked them to let the couple be. The vote stalled. Foggy nights, the Greens climbed the fence. Mabel's slips always said the same things. David, still waiting. Come home. In early November, I found a lantern off the path in the old section near a cluster of 19th century stones. It was larger, cream-colored, with a dark stone inside. The slip of paper read, "Jonah, thank you. We see you too." My hands shook. The cemetery was empty. I watched the previous night's footage frame by frame. They never went near the old section. I checked weeks of footage. Nothing. No footprints in the grass, no sign of anyone. The lantern felt wrong. I threw it away. I kept the slip of paper in a kitchen drawer. A week later, I saw Roy at the fence, alone, gripping the bars. "I can't find her," he said. "Mabel. She left the house. I thought she might come here." We searched together, calling her name through the fog. We found her kneeling by those same old section stones, placing small dark rocks in a careful spiral. "He's here," she said. "I can feel him. He's close." Roy knelt beside her. "Mabel, sweetheart, it's time to go home." "He is coming. I can hear him." Between us, we got her to her feet, crying and murmuring. They drove away. I went back to the spiral, picked up a stone and turned it over. Someone had scratched a name into the underside. David. I dropped it and backed away. That night, I dug online again. I found a 2008 true crime forum listing David Green among deaths in federal custody, heart attack, age 29. Later in the thread, a supposed former inmate claimed David hadn't died but been transferred after an incident. No proof, just rumor. The next morning, lanterns filled the old section, arranged in circles around Mabel's spiral. I called Sharon and took a personal day. Then I went to the Greens' house. Roy opened the door, looking hollow. "Do you really believe he's alive?" I asked. He stared at me for a long time. "I don't know. Mabel does. If I stop believing, she'll have nothing." "What if he is?" I said. "Then we've been looking in the wrong place for years," he said, and started to cry. I left and went back to the cemetery. I let the lanterns stay. The council dropped the issue. The posts faded. The town moved on. In late November, Roy had another stroke and died 2 days later. Dana called to say Mabel was being moved to a memory care facility. "The lanterns will stop now," she said. They didn't. The next foggy night, the lanterns appeared with their usual care and spacing. The dashcam footage showed no one climbing the fence, no one entering at all. Inside each lantern was a slip of paper. "David, we're together now, still waiting." The handwriting was Mabel's. I drove to the facility. They let me sit with her. She was small and pale in the bed, breathing shallowly. I took her hand. It felt as light and cold as paper. "Mrs. Green," I said, "it's Jonah from the cemetery." Her eyes cracked open. "Did you find him?" she whispered. I had no answer. Her eyes slid shut again. Her hand went limp. "The lanterns keep coming. I don't collect them anymore. Stones rearrange into spirals. Sometimes, on the thickest nights, I hear footsteps on the gravel when no one's there. Last week, a new slip of paper appeared. Not inside a lantern, tucked under my truck's wiper. Jonah, he's still here. Do you see him?" I press my palm to the yellowed burial ledger and feel 60 years of dust fused into paper. Gibson Hill Cemetery's basement smells like wet cardboard and something sharp, mildew or old glue turning sour. A fluorescent tube flickers every 11 seconds. I've counted. Tom Reyes asked me to transcribe the burial ledger from 1947 to 1952 so the town can digitize records before the bicentennial. I'm a volunteer, a middle school English teacher with an empty summer and a newly empty apartment after David moved out. Transcription is clean work. Names, dates, plot numbers. No thinking about how quiet a home can get. The ledger is leather-bound, spine cracked, pages ruled in faded blue. The handwriting belongs to Horace Dunn, cemetery clerk until 1953. Slanted cursive, steady like a man who never expected to be questioned. Most entries are identical: name, dates, section and plot, next of kin, clergy, and the occasional note about caskets or charity payments. On July 14, 1949, something looks wrong. The ink is darker, the letters compressed tight, like the writer's hand tensed mid-sentence. Iris Claudine Voss, born March 2, 1931, died July 14, 1949, buried July 16. Section G, Plot 14. Next of kin, none listed. Presiding, none listed. Below it, one sentence in the same pinched script. Circumstances necessitate immediate internment without viewing. I type it into the spreadsheet and pause with my fingers over the keys. No family, no clergy, unusual even for a county case. And necessitate isn't the language of grief, it's the language of urgency, of containment. That evening, I mention it to Tom. He shrugs, mouthful of sandwich. Pauper burials, unclaimed. Horace missed details. Doesn't matter. Just transcribe what's there. That night, I dream I'm walking on loose gravel under hot, humid air that smells like cut grass and gasoline. My hands shake so hard the tremor crawls up my arms. Something itchy and too warm presses my collarbone. Wool. Behind me, the heavy clunk of an old car door closing. I don't turn around because I can't. I wake at 3:17 a.m. with my mouth dry and my heartbeat loud enough to hear. The next day, tired and jittery, I turn a page and see Iris again. Not a new entry, the same entry, same date, same plot, same sentence, in the same darker ink. I flip back. The surrounding burials are in order: July 13, then Iris on July 14, then July 15. I blink, close the ledger, open it again. Iris is still there, duplicated like a stutter. I take a photo and show Tom. He studies the binding, flips pages, frowns. Maybe Horace skipped a line, came back, or wrote it twice by mistake. Just transcribe it once. At lunch, I walk to section G along the western fence line where the ground dips and old stones tilt like they're listening. Plot 14 sits under a black walnut tree. The marker is small, cheap granite, leaning left. The inscription is faint but readable. Iris Claudine Voss, March 2, 1931, July 14, 1949. Rest now. No family name carved beside hers, no scripture, just the command to be quiet. The next morning, Ruth Keene, the town historian, arrives to look at 1949. She's small, round, white hair in a bun, bifocals on a beaded chain. When I say Iris Voss, her posture tightens almost imperceptibly. May I see it? She reads the entry without touching the ink. I've heard that name, local talk. My mother mentioned her once, a young woman who died suddenly. There were rumors. Ruth brings photocopied clippings from the Milford Gazette. The obituary is 3 sentences. Iris Claudine Voss, 18, died at her residence. No immediate family, services private. A week later, authorities investigate. Coroner declined comment. Then, August 3rd, investigation closed, no charges, family request privacy. But the obituary said no family. That night, the dream returns, sharper, gravel crunching cleanly underfoot. 2 car doors now, 2 men.
A low male voice, command, not question, blurred by panic. I wake at 2:53 a.m., sweating as if I ran. On Friday, another volunteer, Melissa Kern, comes to Tom's office pale and shaking. She's been digitizing records across town, nowhere near my ledger work, but she blurts out what she's afraid to say. She's dreaming the same dream. Gravel, shaking hands, wool at the throat, men behind her, words she can't quite hear. It feels like a memory, Melissa says, like I lived it. Tom insists it's suggestion, monotony, shared stress, but Melissa never told anyone about her dream, neither did I.
By Monday, Tom looks older. 2 more volunteers reported it, he says. 1 on 1930s ledgers, 1 digitizing photographs. People are talking, Ava. They're not just seeing it, they're feeling it. I go back downstairs and stare at Iris's entry until a sentence seems to breathe. The ink looks darker every time, not smeared, just insistently present. I call Ruth and ask about Maple Road. She finds the address, 412 Maple, a boarding house run by Loretta Kane, torn down decades ago. Loretta died in 1953, no children, house passed to the county. A neat ending for a place that didn't sound neat. That night, the dream shifts from fear to certainty. My feet are bare now. Gravel bites through torn stockings. The wool isn't a sweater. It's a scarf pulled tight like a hand. Footsteps close in behind me. A man says clearly, "You shouldn't have said anything." I fall. Skin tears. I taste blood. Metallic, warm. Hands yank me up. The scarf tightens. Air disappears. I wake on the floor beside my bed at 1:34 a.m., clawing at my throat, gasping hard enough to hurt. Ruth calls the next day and tells me to come to the Historical Society. In a back room, she lays out 3 photographs. Iris standing in front of a wooden building, unsmiling. Iris between 2 men in suits, their hands on her shoulders, her gaze lowered, and the boarding house on Maple Road. Ruth points to the men. One is Arthur Hollis, a county clerk. The other is Horace Dunn, the cemetery clerk, the man who wrote the ledger. Ruth's voice goes thin. I found a marriage record. Arthur Hollis married Margaret Voss in 1947. Margaret had a younger sister. I can't stop seeing Horace's handwriting when I look at his face. The entry's duplicate no longer feels like a mistake. It feels like emphasis. That evening, Tom calls, voice tight. County records pulled the file. There was an autopsy. Cause, asphyxiation. Manner, undetermined. Bruising consistent with manual strangulation. But they also wrote she had nervous episodes. They left it open and then closed it. Who investigated? I ask, though I already know. Tom exhales. Arthur Hollis. I picture a file stamped closed, like a lid pressed down. The dreams spread through town like a rumor with teeth. 14, then 23, then 40. The news calls it mass hysteria. Tom repeats the word, but it doesn't fit in his mouth anymore. People who've never set foot in the cemetery start describing the same gravel, the same choking scarf, the same sentence. You shouldn't have said anything. On Saturday, Ruth finds one more piece, tucked behind the photos. A letter from Loretta Kane to a friend, dated July 1949, ending mid-line. Iris came to me frightened, saying her sister's husband and his friend would not leave her be. Men came banging on my door, demanding to see her. She has not left her room since. This morning, she told me she plans to leave tonight, to walk to the train station and go west. I told her it was not safe to walk alone, but she said she had no choice. The ink stops, as if the writer heard something outside and never sat down again. We don't need the rest of the sentence to know what it was supposed to say. The dreams stop on August 3rd. It takes me a day to realize why. August 3rd, 1949, the date the Gazette announced the investigation closed, the date the town decided to stop looking. Tom asks if I'm coming back to finish transcribing. I tell him no.
I can't look at Iris's name without feeling my throat tighten, without hearing the gravel shift under someone else's feet. In late August, I visit Section G one last time. The air is humid, sky low and gray. Plot 14 sits under the walnut tree as if it has always been waiting. Iris Claudine Voss, rest now. I don't know if the dreams were proof or contagion, justice or story. I don't know if Horace Dunn and Arthur Hollis killed her, or if the truth is uglier and more mundane and still just as unforgivable. But I know what my body remembers when I close my eyes. Gravel scraping my palms, metal on my tongue, the scarf tightening, and a voice behind me, steady, irritated, certain, telling me I shouldn't have said anything.